Have you ever felt that strange punch in your chest when you see someone else win? Maybe a friend just announced a six-figure salary while you're still grinding, hoping to pay off debt. Maybe someone your age has a picture-perfect family, smiling children, a new car, a house with a garden, and you wonder if you've fallen behind. Maybe on social media, people you barely know keep showcasing moments that scream success. And here you are, staring at your own life, feeling smaller with each scroll. That quiet voice inside whispers, "Why not me? Why am I not there yet?" If you've felt that before, you're not alone. I've been there countless times. But let me tell you something that might shift your entire perspective. Your lane matters more than theirs. And when you truly understand this, comparison stops being a chain that drags you down and becomes a reminder to run your own race. Welcome back to The Long Game. I'm Nathan, and it's always an honor to share this journey with you. Before we dive deep, I want to pause for gratitude. Thank you for listening. Thank you for leaving your comments and reflections. I read every single one, even if I don't always have the time to respond. Between the demands of my job and the beautiful chaos of raising small kids, my days are full. But please know this, your words reach me, and they keep me going. Now, let's go into today's theme, Success Without Comparison, Why Your Lane Matters Most. We live in an age that thrives on comparison. Social media has perfected the art of curated lives. We see highlight reels, not the raw footage. We see achievements, not the sleepless nights. We see polished outcomes, not the messy struggles. And yet, we compare. We compare as if all of us were running the exact same race, as if the finish line was the same for every person, as if success had one definition, one metric, one timeline. But let's break that illusion. Imagine standing at the starting line of a marathon. Thousands of runners are there. At first glance, it looks like a single competition, 42 kilometers, everyone starting together. But if you zoom in, you realize it's not the same for everyone. One runner is a professional, trained for years, aiming to break a personal record. Another is a first-timer, just hoping to cross the finish line alive. Another is running for charity, not for speed, but to raise awareness. One runner had knee surgery 6 months ago, and this is about resilience, not winning. Another might be twice your age, running at their own pace. Same track, different reasons, different bodies, different stories. Life is exactly like that. But here's where the trap comes. We forget context. We forget history. We forget individual circumstances. Instead, we look sideways and think, they're faster, I must be slow. Or worse, they're better, I must be less. Comparison narrows your vision until you can't even see your own progress. You only see the gap between where you are and where others seem to be. And the danger? You start measuring your worth using someone else's ruler. You start setting goals not because they matter to you, but because they look impressive. You start sprinting in a lane that isn't even yours until you burn out. But your lane, your path, was never meant to look like anyone else's. Think of a highway. Every lane has cars. Some are fast, some are slow, some are trucks carrying heavy loads, some are motorcycles weaving in and out. Some lanes exit early, others stretch for miles. The danger isn't being in the wrong lane. The danger is swerving, switching, chasing others without clarity until you crash. That's what comparison does. It makes you abandon your own steady path to chase someone else's rhythm. And in doing so, you forget that your lane was already leading you somewhere meaningful. So, in this first part, I want you to breathe. Step back and ask yourself, whose race have I been running? Whose scoreboard have I been using? Whose definition of success have I been measuring myself against? Because if the answer isn't my own, then maybe it's time to realign. Success without comparison doesn't mean ignoring the world. It doesn't mean living blind, without inspiration. It means anchoring yourself so deeply in your lane that no matter how fast or flashy others look, you keep driving with focus. In the parts to come, we're going to explore what it actually looks like to stay in your lane, how to build confidence that doesn't collapse under comparison, and why true success, sustainable success, can only be found when you stop measuring your life against theirs. This is your road. This is your race. And when you embrace that, you win without needing to beat anyone else. Now, let's take this further.
Think about the most beautiful gardens you've ever seen. Maybe it's a Japanese Zen garden, perfectly balanced, or a wild English countryside garden, overflowing with colors, or even a small balcony with just a few plants that thrive in the sunlight. Here's the thing. No gardener compares their roses to someone else's orchids. No one complains that their cactus doesn't look like a maple tree. Each plant flourishes in its own environment, in its own season, in its own lane. And yet, when it comes to ourselves, we forget that truth. We want to bloom like someone else, at the same pace, under the same light. But you can't force a cactus to grow in a rainforest, and you can't rush a maple tree to bloom in winter. Your lane is your soil. Your timeline is your season. And when you honor that, you begin to see progress not as comparison, but as growth. Now, let's bring this closer to daily life. We live in a culture of constant scoreboard. Open LinkedIn and you'll see promotions. Open Instagram and you'll see travel pictures, dream homes, perfect meals. Open TikTok and you'll see 20-year-olds who look like they already figured out life. Everywhere you look, people are presenting results. And you? You see your process. You see the messy drafts, the rejected job applications, the unfinished projects, the nights of doubt. So of course, comparison feels unfair, because you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. But here's what staying in your lane actually looks like. It's waking up and asking, what's one step forward for me today? Not what would make me look impressive, not what will make them respect me. Just one step that aligns with your own direction. It might mean saving 500 baht when someone else is buying a new car. It might mean reading one chapter of a book when someone else is already publishing theirs. It might mean starting a side business while your friend is already scaling theirs. It doesn't matter. because your lane is not their lane. Success without comparison is not passive. It's not pretending you don't see others. It's active focus. It's saying, I see them, I wish them well, but I will keep building here. And here's the paradox. The more you stop comparing, the faster you grow. Because energy is no longer leaking into jealousy, into envy, into distraction. All that energy gets reinvested into your lane, into your craft, your body, your mind, your relationships. Think of Olympic swimmers. When they dive in, they don't waste energy looking at the lane beside them. They put their head down, focus on their own strokes, and trust their training. Looking sideways slows you down. Looking forward gets you there faster. The same is true in business. Warren Buffett didn't get rich by comparing himself to tech startups in the 90s. He stayed in his lane, value investing. He doubled down on what he understood, while others chased trends. And decades later, his lane proved powerful. Or take J.K. Rowling. She was rejected by multiple publishers. If she compared herself to other authors, she might have quit. But she kept writing in her lane. And the world knows what happened next. The lesson is simple. When you're constantly distracted by comparison, you dilute your effort. When you're anchored in your lane, you multiply it. Now, let's get even more practical. How do you stop comparing? How do you stay in your lane when the world shouts, "Look over here"? First, define your lane clearly. What matters most to you right now? Is it financial freedom? Is it health? Is it deepening relationships? Is it mastering a craft? Second, track your own scoreboard. If you're building wealth, don't compare your income to someone else's car. Measure how consistent you've been with saving. If you're building health, don't compare your body to someone else's Instagram picture. Measure how many workouts you've completed. If you're building a skill, don't compare your starting point to someone's mastery. Measure how many hours you've practiced. Third, limit your exposure to triggers. If social media makes you compare, curate it. Follow people who inspire, not people who drain. Remember, you are the architect of your attention. And attention decides whether you focus on your lane or theirs. When you start doing this, something magical happens. Your self-worth begins to root in your own soil. You no longer need applause to validate progress. You no longer feel crushed when others shine. You start celebrating without bitterness. And that's when you realize your lane was never about beating others. It was always about becoming the fullest version of yourself. In part 3, we'll go even deeper. We'll talk about how running in your lane creates a kind of success that compounds over time. How small steps in your lane turn into unstoppable momentum. And why at the end of the day, the only comparison worth making is who you were yesterday versus who you are today. This is where success without comparison truly becomes freedom. Shall we keep driving forward?
Imagine a drop of water falling into a bucket. At first, it seems like nothing. One drop, then another, then another. The bucket looks almost the same. But given time, the bucket fills. And when you look back, you realize it wasn't the size of each drop that mattered. It was the persistence of adding them day after day. That's what success in your lane feels like. It rarely looks dramatic in the moment. It rarely impresses outsiders right away. But over time, it compounds into something massive, undeniable. Here's the thing most people miss. Comparison ruins compounding. Why? Because when you're busy looking sideways, you stop dropping water into your own bucket. You start pouring energy into envy, into frustration, into imitation. And while you're doing that, your own bucket sits empty. But when you keep your eyes forward, drop by drop, step by step, you build momentum. And momentum is where real transformation happens. Let's take careers as an example. Imagine two people. One jumps from job to job, constantly comparing salaries, chasing the next hot industry. The other stays focused on a lane, building expertise, relationships, reputation. 10 years later, who is more valuable? It's rarely the one who chased comparison. It's usually the one who built compounding depth. The same principle applies to money. If you keep comparing investments, jumping from crypto to real estate to the next stock tip, you might feel busy, but you're not compounding. You're scattering. The real growth happens when you stay consistent in a strategy that matches your lane, whether it's value investing, index funds, or building a business. And the same applies to personal growth. Someone else might speak 5 languages. Another might have 6-pack abs. Another might meditate 2 hours a day. But if you compare and scatter, you try to chase them all and fail at each. If you focus on your lane, you pick one thing to master. And mastery compounds into transformation. Now, here's the beauty of lanes. No one else can run yours. They can imitate, they can copy, they can even compete for a while, but they cannot sustain what wasn't built for them. That's why staying in your lane is the ultimate competitive advantage. Think of artists. Van Gogh didn't paint like Picasso. Picasso didn't sculpt like Michelangelo. Each stayed in their lane, and history remembers them for it. Or think of entrepreneurs. Elon Musk didn't try to become Jeff Bezos. Bezos didn't try to become Steve Jobs. Jobs didn't try to become Warren Buffett. Each built their own lane, compounding in their unique direction. And here's a secret most don't realize. Lanes are self-reinforcing. The longer you stay, the stronger the foundation becomes. The stronger the foundation, the more momentum you gain. And the more momentum you gain, the harder it is for anyone else to catch up, because they're busy comparing instead of compounding. So, how do you build compounding in your lane? Let's break it down. First, clarity. Know what your lane is. Write it down. Own it. Be unapologetic about choosing a narrower focus if it means going deeper. Second, consistency. Small daily actions beat occasional bursts of inspiration. Consistency is the real currency of compounding. Third, patience. Compounding doesn't impress in days. It impresses in decades. If you want proof, look at Warren Buffett. He made 90% of his wealth after age 65. That's compounding in action. Fourth, celebrate progress. Not against others, against yourself. Did you write more today than yesterday? Did you save more than last month? Did you show up one more time when you could have quit? That's progress. And finally, release comparison like you release ballast from a balloon. The more you drop it, the higher you rise. Because here's the truth. Comparison doesn't just waste energy. It distorts your compass. It makes you chase goals you don't even care about. And at the end, nothing feels emptier than winning a race you never wanted to run. But when you focus on your lane, when you commit to compounding there, something incredible happens. You start feeling light. You start feeling aligned. You start waking up with a sense of direction. You stop asking, "Am I ahead of them?" and start asking, "Am I ahead of who I was yesterday?" That shift changes everything. Because success without comparison isn't about being blind to the world. It's about seeing clearly what was always yours. It's about building day by day, knowing that your path is unique, your timing is perfect, and your growth is valid. At the end of your life, you won't look back and say, "I wish I had been more like them." You'll look back and ask, "Did I run my lane fully? Did I play my game well?" And if the answer is yes, then you'll know you won the only race that ever mattered. So here's my final thought. Your lane is not just where you are. It's who you are. Honor it. Build in it. Trust it. And let the compounding of focus, patience, and alignment create a success story that comparison could never write. This is the long game. And remember, your lane matters most.